everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. My name is Greenidge, and I'm so glad to be here, the host of the great late debate. The great late debate. Give it up for all yourselves for being here today. Now, before I start this, I would love the owners and managers, look, they're all rolling their eyes because I told them to do this. I told them all to come here. Sorrel and Lime to come up here, please, please, please come up here. Super Kurt, come on, y'all. Come on. They were like, don't do this. You know I was gonna do it anyways. Come on up, both of y'all, come on. Say hello.
Hi everyone, on behalf of Sorrel and Lime, thank you. On behalf of Sorrel and Lime, we welcome you to this beautiful space. Thank you, Kurt. I'm joined here with Kurt and Clayton in the back. This is a space for the community. We welcome you. We want you all to see this space and know that this space is for you all. Please think of us when you're thinking about community opportunities or your birthday party or your baby shower or whatever have you. But yes, we are here in the community. We've been here since the top of the year, but we want to also be at the staple in this sort of corridor right here in Dorchester on Blue Hill Ave. So thank you, Tim.
Hold on. But can you let people know what happens here during the, like, just tell us the famous dates, all right, so they all know.
Well, we host a diverse set of events here, anything from baby showers to repasses to birthday parties to
So Friday, Saturday, what's
well, Fridays and Saturdays we usually have Caribbean-inspired events here, so if you are ready to wave your flag or have a good time, we're here to have you come in as a guest to celebrate whatever have you.
Okay. How many people right now are interested in doing an event right here? Look at those hands. But I just want to thank you guys. When I wrote it down and said come here, you just like come. So I want to thank you. And I've known this one for many years, part of the Black College Alliance back in the day. So glad to see you here, and thank you so much. All right, appreciate it. Great. Hey, give it up. Now, I've been running a youth program of part of the Greatest Minds for many years, and I have several of my youth here, and I'm gonna have them all come up and stuff. All right, you say who you are, and say it to everyone.
Hello everybody, sorry for the brief introduction in the back. My name is Vinny Schmidt. I just moved to Dorchester from Lawrence. I'm a dual sport athlete playing baseball at Bunker Hill, trying to dive into negotiating some contracts and also protect our athletes within the new NIL space to make sure we educate the next generation of athletes.
Okay.
How y'all doing? I'm Kamari Anderson. I work with Chip. I'm 24. And I live in Roxbury. Hello, I'm Devontae. I work with Chip too. I'm 21 from Roxbury.
All right. Tell me where you're working now specifically. What program were you just in?
I was in Future Chefs.
Does anyone know what Future Chefs is?
Yeah.
Well, tell what it is. Come on.
Future Chefs is basically a program where it's the same thing like this, where we teach young youth life skills, but we teach them culinary skills. I was a facilitator. I would make meals for them. I would teach them how to work in like a regular restaurant and kitchen. So yeah, things like that.
People don't know, this is NOG Sir Kamari. I always put him on the spot. I gotta have it. He's all big now. Let me use this big, y'all. I'm so glad to have the next generation up in here. Thank you very much. Come here. All right, right to the door. Right, they're doing the door. They're doing the door today. They're gonna have to do the door. We gotta put them. Hey, who's old enough in here that used to do street outreach? Where's Eddie Q? Where's Eddie Q?
He's here, Sean.
I was gonna teach them how to do street outreach. They were like, nah, we're gonna sit on our phones and do all that stuff. We're gonna do old school. But let's welcome the candidates. I think we have 3 or 4 candidates here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, welcome. So the way that we're gonna do this, I think I'm gonna have you all just come right up. First, we gotta give it up to someone I've been working with for over 25, 30 years. My DJ Mo B in the building! Now Mo B, you gotta give us some words, man. Tell us about the history of Boston and nightlife.
What do you want to know?
Come on, you give us the history, man.
Thank you.
Give us a little history.
One thing I can say that this year compared to like, I want to say 5 years ago, there's been a lot of spots as far as nightlife. I'm real appreciative about that, you know. Keeps people like me busy.
That's right.
You know, a lot of halls, a lot of clubs, a lot of lounges. I gotta shout out everybody that enjoys it.
Thank you so much. We have several of the city councilor at-large candidates here. Just to let people know, Ruthzee said that she could not make it. So at the after we go through, you just say that.
Hi.
Just give one more. Hello.
Good evening. How is everyone doing? Thank you so much for letting me stand in and be Ruthzee's surrogate. She cannot make it due to a family appointment that she has today, conflict of interest. But my name is Nell Bias. I am here with the purple shirt. She will be sitting there by Spirit. Her sign's over there on the chair. If you have any questions, please come up to me and I will gladly answer them. I used to be her staffer and I am very well knowledge with most of these questions. So thank you for being here.
First of all, how are you guys feeling? It's been 6 months, 5 months.
What's the fourth quarter?
Fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter, right?
So I'm gonna use both mics and just pass this down here. Pass one down. Pass one down. Just first of all, how are you guys feeling today? All right. Just what has been? The first question is, what has been the first 6 months? Last 6 months been for you guys? Before we get into the whole nitty gritty, you guys can go one by one.
All right, so for me,
Say your name first.
oh, how you all doing? How we all doing? I need that energy, all right? It's the fourth quarter, so getting to your question here. My name is Marvin Mathelier. So I'm feeling energized, I'm feeling good. For the last 6 months, it's been a journey. Learning about myself, learning about the city of Boston, what we care about, the issues that we see. So regardless of the decision come November 4th, I'm a better person because of it. And it's gonna fuel me to continue to serve my community. So right now, as we sit, I am tired, but I'm energized, and I'm looking forward to November 4th.
All right.
We don't want to distract.
Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches. Did everyone get a drink?
Not yet, you buying? Oh, no, my gosh.
No, absolutely not. There's water. Hi, everyone. My name is Alexandra Valdez, and I'm one of your candidates. Today, I am feeling a little tired. We were late this morning to school drop-off, so that definitely took a lot out of me this morning. But I am super energized, really happy to be here. I lived down the street my whole life, right on Morton and Wildwood, so for me this is basically home. With me and my dad almost walked here. So it was great. It's great to be here, and it's great to be with all of you. And also really great that we're in this beautiful space. So you are all giving me the energy that I need, but I definitely know that when I get home, I am gonna crash. So I'm really happy to be here.
Hello everyone, Frank Baker. Good to be here. Good evening to all my opponents, I guess, but hello. It's been a great experience for me going around the city as a former district district city councilor, to be able to get into every neighborhood of the city and see what's going on, I realize we're all looking for the same thing. We're all looking for better standard of life. We're all looking for safer streets, cleaner streets, good schools, and things like that. I'm ready to deliver things like that. I've got more experience than everybody here, and I'm ready to apply that in city council. So, like everybody else, I'm a little bit tired. It's been long. You just put your head down and get through it. You have some good experiences, some not so good experience, but trying to weigh those good ones against the bad ones and hope you come up with more good ones.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Santana. I have the great honor of being one of the at-large city councilors, and I'm running for re-election for a second term. And to the question, I'm feeling good. I mean, right now, I think as everyone, there's a lot that goes into being a candidate, and I'm learning also what it means to be a candidate and then also to be an elected official at the same time. So there's a lot of work happening on the city council, a lot of important work, but then also spending much of my free time as well, being able to show up in every single neighborhood, tell people about the vision that I have for the city of Boston. I really love this city. It's given me and my family everything that we have, and just want to be able to deliver, especially for our young people. I love that you're opening for our young people. It's been my number one priority on the city council, and I'm ready for a second term.
Good evening, everybody. Please bear me. I lost my voice a little bit, but I'm going to challenge my good friend Frank on the record. I actually have the most experience here.
Okay.
This evening. But before we get into
As long as you're not challenging me to a fight, that's fine.
All right. There's a family affair. There's no fighting. We're not fighting. This has been a great experience. It's brought me closer to God in a way I never thought would happen. It's been lonely, I gotta be honest with you, because on one end you miss birthdays, anniversaries, this, that, and the third. On the other end, you get killed in the public, for your opinion or your position on whatever. So you get it from both sides. And the one thing that I can honestly say is I have deep respect for anybody who's an elected official or who has ever run. Because it's not easy to put yourself out here in that gauntlet and get kicked, punched, whatever, day in, day out. But one thing I do believe is we do it for love. We do it for the love of our city, for the love of all the people in this room, for our children, our grandchildren, for yours. And I thank God I did this, honestly. I honestly thank God that I did this, because you also learn who your real friends are. Let me just keep it a real. My heart breaks twice a week. I'm like, damn, what happened? It's like someone, it's like someone turned off the lights or they threw cold water on you. Like, you're growing up and your brother, your sister comes in the shower, throws cold water in you. That happens almost like every hour on the campaign trail. But God is faithful, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm Will Onuoha, and I'm looking forward to this discussion this evening. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Boston City Councilor at Large, Mejia. I'm really happy to be with you all here today and every day, because I stay out in these streets, right? But how do I feel? To be honest with you, I've worked my entire life since I was 12 years old, so I'm no stranger to work. I'm a workhorse. So I feel energized by this particular campaign. As you all know, I don't do political endorsements and I don't give them either. And so running like that, I'm all by myself with just God and the hood, and I'm okay with that. But that makes my run a lot harder because I am here understanding who I'm here to serve, and that's the people. And that work becomes harder when you don't have allies. And I would rather do it like that and keep it 100 and keep it honest and be unapologetic about the stances that I take, the votes that I have to take. And I know that I don't owe anyone anything but the people that I serve. And so while I'm tired, I'm super motivated because I want to demonstrate that the people really do have the power.
Thank you so much. Now, next question before we get into the real questions is, I want to ask you guys about fundraising. Is it fun? Is it easy? Is it hard for your campaigns? I'd love to get these feedback from everybody so they can all understand. All right? Go for it.
Yes. So I don't think there's any elected official that I've ever met or any candidate that I've ever met that says they love fundraising. But I would say it's part of running a campaign. You need resources, right? And right now, I think I've always been an underdog in my life. I'm a Dominican immigrant. I grew up in public housing, and grew up here in the part of the city of Boston. So it's about putting the hours, about meeting people, networking, but then most importantly, it's about the message that you're building, right? The message that you're sending out to people. Do people really believe in that vision? And regardless if you come from people with big money or people without it, right? I think residents and voters understand where they want to take the city of Boston. I've been able to resonate that message to people, and people resonated with back in, I've come where I am right now.
All the way down there, turn. Go for it. Go ahead.
Fundraising is a real interesting thing because it's not easy, but when you have a mayoral race, first and foremost, it's super hard because people really pay attention to that. They're not really concerned with spending money on a city council race. It's just the way it is. When it comes to fundraising, if you're running during a mayoral race, it's very interesting, because you really got to scratch and almost beg, put up some of your own money, believe it or not. Be like, hey, I wash your car, man. What's up, guys? No, do not wash anyone's cars. That's illegal. Do not for money. But it's quite a challenge in and of itself, So that's my take on it.
Frank, you want to go next?
Sure.
It's probably the biggest challenge of the job. It's the only job in the world, I guess, where you have to ask people for money to keep your job, to be able to stay in your job. I'm fortunate enough to have a body of work that people believe in me, so I've been able to raise some money here and stay at competitive. You have to spend money to stay competitive, but worst, hands down, worst part of the job.
That's right. Go ahead.
Thanks, Chip. And first of all, could I give just a quick shout out to Greatest Minds? Like, for real, look at the young people in this room occupying space as y'all Chip. So I just say, Chip, thank you for always bringing it like that. So, even though I'm an incumbent, it is still very hard for me to raise money because most of the people in my network are struggling to make their ends meet, working 2 to 3 jobs just to get by. And because I used to work in the nonprofit sector, all my friends are broke, right? And so, all my colleagues are broke, right? Like, I don't have big pockets. I went to Dorchester High, I went to Mount Ida College, I didn't go to big Ivy Leagues, I don't have big networks. And I'm okay with that. Because what that does, it keeps me honest in terms of who I am always here to fight for. So money does not influence my votes, right? And so a lot of people don't give me a lot of money because they know they can't buy me. And so because of that, not to say that other people get bought, I just want to be clear for the record, is that for me, my network is limited, and so are the people that have the capacity to give. And then those who can give don't want to give me any because they know they can't get any, right? And so, that's my problem. And despite it all, though, I still managed to be competitive. My body of work, very similar to Frank, I passed over, either I led or co-sponsored over 20 pieces of legislation. I created programs, departments, and roles for the city of Boston and secured millions to advance Black and brown people in particular. So my body of work speaks for itself, and the people who give me $10, they give me what they can because they know I'm doing all that I can for them. So that's how I
For me in particular, I'm not going to sugar, it's been extremely hard. I don't have the privilege to stop working and to be able to fundraise. So no, working and fundraising, you can't do that. I have to rely on others to be able to do that for me. And as a first-time candidate, this is one of the parts that I was dreading the most. Because I was like, how do you do this? How do you even talk or have a group of people fundraise on your behalf, because I can't do it myself. So I've been able to really showcase what community looks like, and I'm proud to say that every single dollar that I have raised is here in the city, and it has been from people that I have seen growing up, who has believed in me. But even to this day, it's so exhaustingly hard, because I know even you guys know, right? To print out 600 palm cards, we know how much that is, right? Right now, I'm having conversations of like having a conversation like how much is 5,000 palm cards going to cost us, right?
It costs 1,000 because you want to know, right?
Yeah, I want to know. Oh yeah. So the company that we're using for us to be able to print down, correct me if I'm wrong, 5,000 palm cards cost us about $650. I mean, that's why when we talk about materials, I get so many people throw it on the floor, and there's $1.
Everyone take the materials home.
Please take it home. But it's hard, y'all. This is hard, especially as, like I mentioned, I don't have the privilege to stop working to be able to fundraise. And as a first-time candidate, I think we can relate. It's extremely hard.
Okay, good.
I don't know what you all complain about. Every time someone answers the phone, I get $1,000. So I don't know what you all. I'm kidding. No. Stop it. Hey, I'm not giving you that list. Let me tell you that. No, I resonate with my colleagues up here. I mean, Alex, like you said before, same thing with you, Will. Like we're new to this, right? So initially when you kick us off, there is a sense of joy and excitement. So all your close friends, family, colleagues are like, oh, absolutely, I'm gonna go ahead and support you. And you see it jump within that first month or two, right? Because they're super excited, especially when you start talking to your close friends and allies and colleagues and things of that nature. And then you start seeing that dip. That whole donor fatigue starts to set in. It's just like, hey, what's up, man? I know it's my third time. Like, Marvin, I don't have money. What do you know? I really need it. I need to go. So that's where it starts to get difficult. And it's been very difficult for me. And there's probably a couple people here that I called and I asked for money and you hung up on me. Right? It's so funny. My mom's sitting right there. She's recording me. Hi, Mom. How you doing? This past weekend, we were going through a list, and I think back to back, people just hung up on me, right? Me asking for money. So I say all this because initially when you're asking for money, you're saying, hey, my name is Marvin Mathelier, I'm running for Boston City Council at large. You hear that click, that first 5 minutes, it stings. But as you continue to do this, the same thing with door knocking. People slam the door, they don't want to do it. As you continue to do this, one thing I realized is that you start creating that thick skin. You start to be a bit more callous. So when someone hangs up on you, it's not 5 minutes. It's more like 5 seconds. It's just like, all right, get back to the rhythm, get back to the fight. Let's go ahead and continue to fundraise. I'll say this last piece. I think one thing I'm relying on, and I continue to rely on, is that we got to bootstrap it. My campaign, we're going to look at bootstrapping. We've been fortunate enough to get some really great support out there in the city of Boston through endorsements or just people who really want to support us. So now we're looking at, hey, God, we might not have the dollar signs, but we do have the people. So how do we go ahead and mobilize the people and leverage their time and effort and labor to really get our voice out there? That's what we're focusing on. Excellent.
Good job. I'm going to say this last part, and I'm going to get out the way, because I'm going to let you guys have your own time, and I'm going to ask some of my co-hosts to come and ask a question, and after community ask a question. So that's going to be it. Are you ready? Ready? All right, Nav, you ready? Liz, Nav, you ready? Rich, you ready? Marlon, you ready? Marlon's way over there in the corner. You ready, Marlon? All right. What I'm going to have you guys do is 2 minutes to explain who you are to everybody in the room and why you're the best candidate up here. All right? And the last minute, I want you to close out by saying why it's important to get out to vote. Because we realize that Mayor Wu is going to be running unchallenged. And in my estimation, I think the number is going to drop a little. But I want you kind of give us a piece of why you think it's still involved, important that people go out to vote. Okay, so we will start right here.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Henry Santana. I have the honor of being one of the at-large city councilors running for a second term right now to continue doing the work that we've started. I was born in Dominican Republic, grew up here in the city of Boston. I'm a product of our BHA apartments, growing up in out-of-state BHA apartments, where my family still resides. And I'm a city kid. I'm a product of our after-school programs, our summer programs, a product of our Boston Public Schools, and now I'm also a renter, right? I'm a renter here in the city of Boston, trying to, as the youngest candidate here on this floor, trying to see how I can build a family, how I can grow a family, stay here in the city of Boston, and be able to retire here in the city of Boston, right? So right now, in my first term, I've prioritized our youth, and that's exactly the work that we've been able to do. We've been able to create a citywide youth council called Santana's Youth Force. This past summer we hired 15 youth working in our office. We currently have 15 going through the school year. Most of all councilors on the floor, right? And that's just about giving youth opportunity. I believe that I'm the epitome of what happens when the city truly invests in its youth. And I want to make sure that I'm giving those opportunities to every single youth across all of our neighborhoods. I'm running for re-election right now because we're living in very scary times right now. What's happening on the federal level affects a lot of what's happening here on the local level, right? And we need more housing. We need to continue to invest in public safety, and that's all becoming harder with the federal government. I'm a Dominican immigrant. I know what our immigrant communities are going through right now, living in fear of not being able to attend schools, appointments, and go out, right? And so right now, I think my voice is crucial, but I'm also learning. I'm in my first term. I'm the first black man in this role since the 1960s. I'm the first Latino man in this role, and I want to continue growing and being able to build with you all. So I humbly ask for one of your 4 votes to continue doing the work that I've started, that we've started. And to the last piece of the question, I'm an organizer at heart. I grew up in Mission Hill, often felt that, a lot of elected officials or city leaders didn't pay attention to us. And because of that, we had to find a way of being able to become civically engaged. And civic engagement looks like many different forms. It can mean supporting a local business, getting to know your neighborhood, attending a civic meeting, a neighborhood meeting, but it also means being able to vote if you're able to. And we have candidates that come every 2 years or 4 years who deliver a vision and a message for the city of Boston. And I think it's very important for our people, especially in our black and brown neighborhoods, to be able to pay attention, to educate yourselves on the different positions, and not just listen to people's words, but look at people's actions, how they voted, who are they showing up for, how are they being effective. Because I believe I've been an effective city councilor. I've been able to pass a lot of the legislation that I've introduced this year, and I've been able to keep my promise to prioritize our youth, and I'm going to continue doing that because I am an example of what happens when the city invests in you. So thank you very much, and I humbly ask for your support November 4th.
Hello, my name is Frank Baker. I'm a former district city councilor. I represented District 3 for 12 years. Ably, I believe. I was in different city departments for 25 years. Before that, I've got common sense and experience. I've shown up for work for these 37 years. I've built real job training programs that I can point to. I've been part of real initiatives. I've been part of building affordable housing. I've been part of making changes on the street to bring the speed limit down to 25 was mine. We used to in the city, when 311 would happen and there was a needle on the ground, it used to be the firefighters would show up first, the police would show up second, and then EMS would come and pick the needle up. Through my advocacy, through my office, we have the shops team. It's a practical approach to government. I know government, I know budgets. We're heading to a very, very difficult financial times the next couple of years. We're all feeling it right now. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. We've added $1 billion to our operating budget. I don't think our life has gotten better. We have to ask difficult questions. That's an independent voice. That's me. That's someone that knows city budgets, knows city operations, has relationships throughout the city and not afraid to leverage those relationships to make sure that I do things that work for the city of Boston. I'm not going to work for this administration. I'm going to work for the people of Boston. Thank you. Why should people get out to vote? 2 in 10 people elected came out in this last election. 2 in 10. Less than 20% of the people came out. You have people yelling at the TVs about what's going on in the world. Everything that's the problem, but we're not voting. We've got I had convened a group of young people today to tell them the reason why we have the great city that we have is because of people's parents and grandparents and doing the work to make us get to this point that we're in now. It's not a perfect point we're in right now, but we're doing a lot better than a lot of cities around the country. And I think that Boston is the crown jewel in the United States. This is where democracy started. This is where it all happened. We had the original chip on our shoulder, and I think it's well worth fighting for. So let's get those 2 in 10 to get 5 friends, and let's get it up to 7 in 10 or 8 in 10. I spent yesterday at a Mel King breakfast and then a book signing about Ray Flynn. That was the 1983 mayor's race. 200,000 people come out and voted in that race.
I apologize in advance if you guys see me squinting a lot. I broke my glasses this morning in half, so I apologize in advance if you see me go like this. Yes. We won't get into much detail. But again, my name is Alexandra Valdez, and I am running for one of your 4 votes, one of your 4 at-large seats. And I like to always start this. I have decided and I have pursued my whole career to being a public servant ever since I came to the United States when I was 10 years old. This city has given me and my family so much that this is my way of saying I want to continue serving. Without being a city councilor, I've been able to touch thousands of lives in our city, from creating programs to leading offices to generating funding to support a lot of amazing nonprofit organizations that do a lot of great things in our city. From supporting the first ever postpartum education group in our city to funding almost every single child care provider in the city of Boston to stay open during the pandemic, to serving as a neighborhood coordinator, citywide Latina liaison, and the JP neighborhood coordinator. I've been able to deliver numerous times to the city. And as a mom, it is so important for me to see and for Alonis to see me and say, that's my mom, that's the person who I want to vote for my parents and everyone as well. The city of Boston has given me the opportunity to grow, to go to school, to go to after-school programs, to get support, to be able to help a lot of people. And when the city looks and when you vote, for people who you can relate to, people who understand what it means to grow up from nothing, to at least being able to say that they're choosing to raise their family in this city, that's someone who you want to vote for, that's someone who you want to elect. And for me, being able to sit here and just have a conversation with all of you, it's a truly honor to be able to have you listen to what we're all saying. So I humbly ask for one of your 4 votes. And it's so important to get out to vote because I always say this, if you want your trash to be picked up on time, if you want our parks to be cleaned, and if you want direct city services to reflect all of us who are sitting in this room, then you need to get out to vote. It's essential. If you want your kids and our kids to have quality education, if you want all of us to be able to have direct services and someone to answer the phone when you call in the language that you speak, then you go out to vote in this next election. It is so important. But it's more important than ever for you to vote for people who you can relate and people who you know who are going to have your best interests. And I always say this, call a friend, text a friend, bring them to the polls. God, pick them up. Early voting starts on Saturday. Please bring people out to vote this weekend. Get the seniors and get everyone out there because every single vote matters. Every single vote counts, especially if we really want to continue seeing change in our city.
So again, my name is Marvin Mathelier and I'm running for Boston City Council at large. So one thing you're going to realize about me compared to my colleagues here is that I have no city hall experience. I've never been a political appointee. I've never been an elected official. I've never worked at City Hall. And some people may say, wait a minute, why would we look at this job? Something I have that a lot of my colleagues don't have, and you've heard them say, I have the whole city experience and this person, whatnot. I have real world experience, international relations experience, from international experience to the community level. I am a Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Marine Corps. I'm a combat, Rob, who said that? Where we at? Rob? No. You're Army? We got Army back, we got Marines in here? If you're in the crowd, we'll go ahead and take that. I'm a Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Marine Corps. I'm a combat veteran. I deployed in Afghanistan, but I'm still serving our country right now as a Lieutenant Colonel, focusing on military diplomacy, humanitarian assistance, as well as disaster relief. And I've worked in U.S. embassies, specifically in the Caribbean, South America, and Central America. And by this upcoming November, I'm actually taking command of a Marine unit. I'm also a proud parent of 3 kids. 2 of them are in Boston public school system. Those are things that really truly matter to me as well, especially again when it comes to BPS. I used to work for Massachusetts Veteran Services as a Deputy Chief Engagement Officer, serving our veterans throughout the whole community. Thank you so much. Serving our committed veterans throughout the whole Commonwealth, ensuring that we're able to provide financial support, education, employment, training. And at the community level, my wife and I, we're both small business owners. We own a cafe called Ula Cafe that's in Jamaica Plain. It's been around since 2007. My wife and I took it over back in 2021. Not only are we providing amazing quality food, but we're also providing a place of community. Now more than ever, especially with everything that's going on at the federal level, people need community, and that is something that we go ahead and we provide at our place. And not just that, not only am I a small business owner, I'm also a nonprofit leader. I'm the founding executive director of the Tucson Louverture Culture Center, a Haitian culture center in the West End area. All right? So I say all of this because I got it. I haven't worked at City Hall yet, but that's okay, because I've been walking these streets, I've been knocking on the doors, whether it's out here, Dorchester, Charlestown, Reedville, West Roxbury, Jamaica Plain, and the common thread that I hear from people is that they need to ensure that we have a change, we have a fresh voice, and we have new perspective that's willing to work for the people, work with people in City Council, and ensure that we're moving this city forward. People are upset with what we're looking at when it comes to housing affordability. There are my colleagues who are also small business owners. I'm sorry, I'm getting into it. We got colleagues that are small business owners that are suffering as well. So, what I'm going to say here, please vote for me, and what's truly important is that it is important for you all to go out there and vote, all right? Because we need to ensure that your voice is being heard. This is a democracy, and we want to make sure that you're all done through your elected officials. Thank you so much.
So let me just tell you really quick, right, why I think it's really important to vote. I'm going to start off with that first, right? I won by 1 vote.
Hello, say that again.
1 vote. And everybody knows how important voting is, because I'm the poster child for what it looks like when you elect people who are from the outside. Because while I'm on the inside, I still very much operate like an outsider, because I know who I'm loyal to, and it's these streets. And so 1 vote does make a difference. And I've been able to demonstrate what that difference looks like. I am no stranger to this community. I see Cynthia right here. Cynthia, you and I used to work with young people decades ago, right? So I just didn't pop up out of nowhere. Stop. It's my time. Take over my 2 minutes. So I just didn't pop out of nowhere and said, I'm going to do this. I did this, right, by mistake. I ran for office to demonstrate, and I've always said this, I would have rather have lost and uplifted my people than win and neglect us. And I think it's really important for us to recognize what this moment is calling for. Why me? Because I take on fights that most people just want to walk away from. You know why? Because I grew up for a fight. I grew up bouncing from place to place because my mom and I were too poor to stay in one place long enough for me to make friends. So I was always getting bullied. So I always had to speak up, right? That's why I show up on the Boston City Council the way that I do. Spicy. You know why? When they were trying to take the O'Brien out of Roxbury, I'm the one who fought and said, no, it's not going to West Roxbury. I took on that fight. Right now they're trying to take White Stadium from us. Who is out here trying to stop that? Me. Okay? So when it's time to fight, you need somebody who is willing to fight and not afraid of fighting. And that is why I believe, right, in this moment, in my third term, you need someone who's going to make sure we keep everybody in check.
All right.
Okay? And so I am asking you to give me one of your 4 votes because I am your independent voice. I am not afraid of anyone but God. And that vote, everybody wants to claim it, but it was God's vote and the hood vote that got me in. And it will be the only ones that will take me out. So I need you all to recognize what this moment is. Just because I can't talk to everybody thinks I'm safe, I'm not. I am enemy number 1, and I got a target on my back, and I need everybody to go out and vote like their lives depended on it because it does. And if you don't want to vote for me or anybody else, put your own name on that ballot. Because what we need to start doing is demonstrate that black and brown people are paying attention. So put your name on the ballot. Don't vote for me if you don't like me. Don't vote for anybody here. But go out and vote and put a little X on that if you want to. But just register that vote so that people won't keep ignoring us like they do. That's why I'm here. I'm here to demonstrate. That's right. I'm here to demonstrate what it looks like. Look, people always underestimate me because of my demeanor. But in the last 5 years, I've been able to pass legislation. I've been able to do this job without even knowing what the job entailed. And so I learned on the job, and I will continue to learn on the job. And I'm just getting started. I just want you all to know that. We got too much work to do here in the city of Boston. Don't sit this one out. Make sure you go out and vote. And I'm number 7 on the ballot, Divine 7, Lucky 7, Heavenly 7, Julia Mejia. Please vote for me.
All right now. Go to church, Julia. Go to church.
There's not a single person in this race that has my experience, my competence, or my knowledge of city government. Let's go to work, Boston.
All right.
Okay, you put up.
I grew up 2 miles away from this place. I grew up in a place called Mission Hill. I grew up during the Charles Stewart era. I grew up at a time when black men Boston police were at war. I watched men that looked just like me and like some of you, strip searched, molested by Boston police anyhow because a white man killed his wife and blamed it on one of us. I grew up in a time when, you know, it was rough, really rough, to be one of us.
Still is.
It still is. Thank you for that comment. But look what happened. Look how God works. Because of that, the wife, the slain wife of Charles Stewart paid all 4 years of my college to go to college. I went to all the Boston public schools, graduated, went to the University of Massachusetts Amherst, came back, and guess who picked me up? The greatest mayor the city has ever seen, Tom Menino. I served that man for 8 years. I was his district rep. The Boston MVP, the most diverse district in this entire city. I did that. You know what happened after that? He sent me to law school. And after that, you know what happened? Marty Walsh came in and picked me up again. I became the housing commissioner for the city of Boston for more than 10 years. I built the Human Rights Commission for the city of Boston. I was the head of my brother's keeper for the city of Boston, for the Obama Foundation, the Boston chapter. I'm now a lawyer for Boston Water and Sewer and the Senior Health and Safety Department. Listen to me, Boston. I'm not gonna ask you for your vote. I'm gonna ask you to let me earn it tonight. I'm gonna also ask you not to just willy-nilly give it out to anybody. Let them prove to you they deserve it. Here's why. I'm the only person in this race who has sued the city of Boston twice for HUD, for housing discrimination. You know that? Boston is one of, in fact, if not the richest, one of the richest cities in America. Boston has a triple bond A rating. Get this in your spirit. If Boston was a person, the best score you can have as a person is a 900, right? Your credit score. Boston has a 2,700.
Built off slavery.
That too.
Right, reparation.
Guess what? Once you do the 2,700 credit score, you can buy heaven. And all the angels too. Figuratively, not literally. But the point simply is this. Tonight, I'm going to indict the Boston City Council of being ineffective.
Not me.
Let me finish.
I got my receipts.
Let me finish. Because every year they come here and they ask for your vote, every 2 years. But ask yourself this question. How is your life better? What's your living situation like?
Horrible.
What's your children's school situation like? Boston is the seat of education for the entire United States of America. Yet, none of our kids can graduate without reading past the 8th grade level. 1 second, Chip. You let them all talk. Let me just give my time. 1 second. I'm almost done. I'll buy you a drink, I swear.
Okay. You go with that.
Listen to me, Boston. What I'm asking you to do is be real to yourself and tell the truth to yourself tonight. If our city was really doing what it's supposed to do, you wouldn't have these many people running. We'd keep our faith in them. And that is not at all what's happening. That's part of the reason the Boston Globe endorsed me last week, because I said this to them. And I was this honest and this truthful. What they're looking for is an independent voice who will really stand up for everybody in the city of Boston. That's not happening. That is not happening. And because it's not happening, guess what? Some of us are hoping we can just make it to tomorrow to pay our bills. Some of us are hoping we can find a place tonight to lay our heads down. Some of us are hoping we can get a meal tonight. Some of us are hoping. But in a city that is filthy rich, in a city that you pay taxes to. How is this fair, Boston? So tonight, I'm really looking forward to this discussion, because let's get into it. Let's go to work, let's get into it, and scrutinize every single person that asks you for their vote. Don't just give it away. Let me tell you one last thing. The definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. If you've been voting over and over and over again, and your results are the same, I beg your pardon, I think you might be crazy. So let's flip that around tonight. I'm Will Onuoha, and let's go to work.
Yeah, that's the first question. I don't know why I have the first question. We'll get you water. Don't worry about it. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. My name is Nav Winter Brown. I've been doing events in the city of Boston and abroad for over 20 years. And for the last 3 years, we have a TV network on everything, just like in Netflix and all the other ones. It's called Tag Team. They wanted me to come up here, just like a lot of my counterparts here, because we've been in the industry for a while. But I am too apparent. So I just have to circumvent all that and just tell you a little bit about what recently happened. A year ago, and some change, my twin mother died in a car crash. Okay? And it's been very hard on us, and I've been doing everything I can. So I do everything I can for my sons. They're twin boys, 14 years old. Okay? They're my 2 of 5 children. And I got them into soccer because that's one of the things that they love. But now, when they're at the park, right here in Dorchester, being good kids, getting straight A's the entire year after their mother died. Okay? They're out there playing soccer, and my son calls me and he says, "Dad, can you get here now?" I said, "Is everything okay?" He says, "No." I got there in less than 3 minutes. And it was right here at the park. He was doing practice, and I saw a police vehicle coming across the grass. A police vehicle on the grass rushing to the edge, right on Talbot Ave. And then I saw a bunch of small children and then that little ramp. But then I saw about 7 to 8 kids on these scooters with their mask on and everything. You asked me to go first.
All right, Bob, come on, your question.
I pulled up on the curb, made a beeline for them, and they scattered because my son said they went in their waistband. They act like they wanted to talk with a bunch of good kids that ain't into anything. I had to call up the police, ask them what they wanted to do. I jumped out my car and I did what I have to do to get these people away from my children. I cussed out the cops that was there, told them go that way, what are you doing? They act like they didn't want to know what they was doing. I've been fighting with the police to make sure that all these new cops that just graduated, why can't we get children protected and having cops out there? I want to know, one, what would you do to make sure that we can protect our children? And also tomorrow at the State House, there's a Leslie law, okay, that is presenting to actually have body cameras on DCF workers to protect people like her that went through too much. And we know someone, either directly or indirectly, that has been through some hard times with adults and children. What would you do? Would you back them? Would you show up tomorrow, even if you're not in office? Would you show up tomorrow to support that? And what would you do to protect our babies at these parks?
Well, now, first of all, I'm sorry for your experience. Let me say this, 2 things. To protect our kids, my children or your children, I move heaven and earth, first and foremost. Nothing is off limits. First thing is, we are not at the full complement of the police department. Boston is not. We tout ourselves to be the safest city in America, but yet we are not at the full complement of the Boston Police Department. There's something terribly wrong with that, Boston. Take note. The second thing is, we need to bring and hire more police officers. There's no 2 ways about it. And we need to take the shackles. Let me just be real. We got to take the shackles off of our officers. Many of our officers are afraid to do their job because they feel like if they do their job, they're going to be maligned by the community. You understand what I'm saying? Because of a few bad apples that have done some things that aren't right, they feel very afraid. There's so many restrictions on them now. We need to take that off so they can actually do their job. We don't have the kind of issues in Boston that other cities and states have had. We haven't. We've been fortunate so far. You understand? And I don't think it's fair that we treat our police officers, especially, most of them now are really black and brown, you know, or more so than ever, the way we do treat them. And that's not right. These people put their lives on the line for us every single day. And part of the reason why that happens is because many of them feel shackled. You know, and so unless they see you actually pull out a firearm and do something, then they jump really, you know, do what police do. But meanwhile, there's so many other things that happen that doesn't even rise to that level that police should be able to do their job. And the simple truth is they're afraid to because they feel like when they do, we're gonna come after them. And that's the first thing I would change. I would give them the freedom, do your job. Do what you gotta do, simple. Because there's no price I can put on your child's life or mine or anybody's child's life in here. It's that simple. I grew up in Mission Hill, around gangs and guns. Let me tell you something. There's nothing pretty about that. There's nothing fun about that, especially when you bury your own child. There's nothing cool about that because that's not natural. It's supposed to be the other way around, ain't it? So that's what I would do.
No, I appreciate your question and you sharing your story. You know, I think first, I already mentioned my number one priority is our youth, and that means that I think public safety looks very different. I mean, there's so many aspects of public safety. You know, one of the budget process, my number one priority is making sure that our youth have access to more summer jobs, making sure that they're staying involved, that they're getting paid. I think that's what there's for me. In middle school, I went to the Dearborn, and I got out at 1:30 p.m., right? And my parents didn't get home until 5:36 p.m. And I wasn't in an after-school program for some time, right? And there's just so many things, so many influences that can happen. And so that's why I'm very involved in making sure that, access to jobs, especially for our youth, access to after-school programs, summer programs, and being able to, right now, I secured an extra $1 million for our summer jobs. Right now, I'm looking at year-round jobs, right? And, I'm going to push back on that. Kids shouldn't be having to work. But we don't also have to pay, I think people think of traditional jobs. We can be paying our youth to be civically engaged, to be doing their homework, to be doing the right things, right? And being able to be in a safe place by loving adults did it for me. That's why I want to make sure that I do it very well. I think to be the first part of your story, I lost my brother, my oldest brother, in 2016 to a car accident. From one day to another, you lose someone that you love, right? I mean, I don't able to see what that's been there, what that's done to my parents, right? No parent should ever have to bury their own child. And that's why I'm a big advocate of safer streets. I know people complain about speed humps because they have to slow down. I know people complain about all the different implementations, but my number one priority is saving lives, and we shouldn't have to wait to lose a life to change anything here in the city of Boston. So I've been very proactive there. There's a lot of education that we need to do for our to have safer streets for all users. And I'm very sorry for your loss, but my number one priority is our youth. I want to continue investing in our youth, and that means investing in the people and the programs that are doing that work every single day.
Thank you for your question there, and I'm sorry for your loss. As a father of three, I have 3 kids, an 8-year-old, 4-year-old, and a year-old, and I could not imagine having to deal with those type of situations. But at the end of the day, I always worry about what if Nora goes out, she goes to the park. What if Zoe goes out, they go to the park, and then a situation like that occurs, right? What can I do? What could I have done differently, right? And those are things that's always going through our minds as parents, whether your kids are young or they're a little bit older, right? And those are things that I'm always gonna have to think about, especially when they get into their teenage years. So, as a city councilor with young children, this is something I want to be able to focus on because I know that there are a lot of parents in Boston that have young children. And 2 things I want to keep in mind here. I agree with you, right? I think I don't have this devil's playground. If you don't have youth programs for your youth, they're going to find ways to get into trouble. They're going to start digging into things that they shouldn't be digging into, right? That's a huge, huge problem. I think that we need to go back to the basics here, go back to the high schools, go back to the schools and make sure that we're enhancing their experience, right? Come back with some of these amazing programs. Everybody's focusing on college. After high school, you gotta go to college, And that turns off a lot of people. I went to college, thank God it worked out for me, but I'm just one person. There are other means, courses of action that we should be letting our children know about, providing that awareness, right? Training programs, vocational programs, things of that nature. We should be looking at that to be able to focus on that for our children so that they can be able to use their hands and be like, hey, I want to be able to do this and make money off of this as well. Another thing, I'm not saying that we should push anything that's related to Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps, which is a military program in high school, right? I did JROTC back in high school. I was part of the Navy JROTC. Right. You know what it did for me? It provided me a sense of unit cohesion, being part of a family, being part of a unit. I learned how to be a team player. I learned how to be a team leader. When I was going to school, and then I became a cadet commanding officer. When I was in school, people said Marvin was the leader of the biggest gang in high school, and that was the JRTC program. But you know what? It set a strong foundation.
Marvin, she said me too, right here. Right.
You did JRTC? Nice. Air Force, that's what I'm talking about.
They took it out in the school.
You see, and that's an issue. So looking at things like that, even sport programs. I'm gonna wrap it up. I mean, like, look, you took your video out, you took your camera out when Councilor He was out. I'm gonna get you excited. I'm bringing you. But that's you got me. All right. So the last thing I want to be able to say here is, I think we need to be careful with taking the shackles off our police officers, right? Because that's where a lot of issues, especially within our community, occurs. As a person who's worked within rules of engagement, I know at the military level, we've made a lot of mistakes, and we've seen data-wise what happens when you take these so on and so forth shackles off of police officers, what happens in our black and brown community. I think that we need to go ahead and focus on building community and police relations, right, within a community, so we can be able to make sure. All right, I'll shut it up. You got.
My turn.
I'm gonna ask another question. No, hold on. You can't answer, but I'm really, I have one Chardonnay, so now, I'm gonna ask you, and Frank's gonna love this question. What does birth order play into your negotiation skills? How many brothers and sisters do you have? And I know the city council, you work with a lot of city councilors. What does birth order, how many brothers and sisters do you have? And how does that play and how do you negotiate? I just made that question up. All right, you can answer, Julie.
Can I answer the other question too?
Yeah, you can't make it all.
All right, so just real quick, right? Like, I don't know how many folks here in this room grew up here in the city of Boston in the 80s and the 90s when we had the height, you know, of the crack era and like all the violence that happened out in these streets. It was called the Boston Miracle, right? When we were able to really get a handle on that violence. But what the miracle was really, thank you. The real miracle was, it wasn't the miracle of mayonnaise, it was miracle that, it was community that also stepped up and was a part of that strategy. And the people were stepping up. Now you got parents who are showing up to our Boston public schools ready to fight somebody, right? So we talk about it starts in the home, but we can't just focus on young people. We have to recognize that families and parents are carrying a lot of trauma, and we have to also hold space so that we can prepare our parents to do that parenting, because that's also part of their strategy. So young people and parents, everybody got to be a part of that violence prevention strategy, because we can't just pour into young people. I think parents also have to be engaged, and we have to do a little bit more to pour into our parents, because it is not easy. When you are a single parent like me, I have a 15-year-old, I don't get child support, it's just me and my daughter. And I have to do it all by myself. And so when you are juggling it all by yourself, you don't have the luxury of the disciplinary factor, right? So that is why I'm saying that parents also need some love, need some cultivation, need some engagement, need some education, and need some programming, right? So that they can be a part of the strategy. And then the last piece that I think is really important is how we make investments. We have been feeding the school to prison pipeline when our kids are in the 3rd grade and they can't read, but yet they can pass from grade to grade. That is also part of the problem, because these young people are in classrooms very frustrated, and then they go out into these streets and act out on that frustration. So that is all part of the conversation. I think that that's one of the reasons why my office has been unapologetic about making sure that we're making those investments. And to Leslie's Law, yes, you know what? When I had my own nonprofit organization, I worked with parents, court involved, DCF, like I know how those systems pass our kids and neglect us. So while I may not be there to testify, I'll make sure that I send a statement in support of that, okay? I just want you to know, like, I know that was part of your question, but I got you on that one too, okay? And I'm gonna answer that also, that I answer the little situation about. So I'm weird in this world. I'm not saying that. Don't be saying I'm weird. I'm saying I'm weird. But look, my parents, right, had multiple children before me and after me. So I don't have a full brother and sister that I grew up with, because both of my parents got busy. And so they just got together, had me, and that was it. So I don't have the luxury of saying that I grew up with my siblings, because I didn't. I have an older brother that I literally raised him. He's the closest thing to a sibling that I have. And I'm 10 years older than him. And I just tell him, he tells me what to do sometimes, and sometimes I tell him what to do. But at the end of the day, the negotiating skills is really about about what makes the most sense. And sometimes we have to yell at each other to get to that place, and we do it with love. That's just that.
Thank you so much for your question, and I'm so sorry for your loss and the story that you shared. Now, I'll start off with this. When my parents first bought their home in 2004, around the corner of Moore and Wabble, I used to go to Edwards in Charlestown, and I got transferred over to the Bloomberg. Short walk. Walk from school, walk home, vice versa. Within 2 weeks of us moving, I woke up the next day for our whole house being surrounded in hate because of the shooting that took place while we were sleeping. I woke up and the first thing I opened the door is the police cars outside of the door. And I remember telling my parents, we can't leave the house. Look what's happening. Blood stains everywhere in the street because this took place while we were sleeping. And that was my first before I went to school. And I had to go to school with that, thinking about that the whole day. I haven't even been in the United States for 7 years. I'm still in the process of learning how to speak English. And I'm still in the process of understanding what it is to live in this country that I now have to call home. So for me to go to school with that traumatic experience and then still pay attention, still somehow maneuver to get the work done, how do we expect the youth not to just leave and walk out of school because they need just to breathe? So when we talk about our youth, when we talk about everything that we see, that we go seeing through, there's so much that we don't talk about and that our kids don't talk about that we see every single day. So when we are specifically talking about sports and when it comes to keeping our kids healthy, as a mom, you better know that if I see something happening with my son, I will turn my mom on there and I will run over, and whoever is in front of me better get out of my way. But to that extent, we also need to be able to keep all of our kids safe. And that's expanding and investing more funding to keep our BCYS center open later. Why are they closing so early? We have parents that don't get out of work like my parents did back then until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night because they have 2 jobs. So why are we not investing to be able to keep our kids there longer, to expand more programming? The Councilor Santana mentioned, our summer youth jobs are around the year. Because if it wasn't because of those summer youth jobs, I worked for the Salvation Army right on Blue Hill Ave. That was my first summer youth job. And if it wasn't because of that job, and if it wasn't because of programs like Bottom Line, Summer Search, Mission Safe, TAG at UMass Boston, I don't think I'll be here with y'all having this conversation. My dad was right there, and he knows that I was not an easy child. He knows that. And I always say this, when people say it takes a village, it takes a village. It takes your neighbors. It takes programs from our city. It takes people who care. And it takes elected officials to invest money to make sure that our youth are getting every single thing they need in order to prosper. So if we want to keep our kids safe, we need to invest in our kids. If we want to see our youth do better and be safe, we need to invest in better facilities so our youth are staying and be able to engage longer. That's one. So I have 2 brothers, and I'm the oldest, and I'm the only girl. So you know, my negotiation skills are definitely top. My brother to this day, he calls me, he goes like, Ale, so can you tell me what happened with mommy and papi? What should we do about it? And there's a group text between me and my 2 brothers of how we discuss action, like what we're doing moving forward. But also collectively, we make decisions.
Give it to Frank, I want to hear Frank's question on it. About the 12 squad, your brothers and sisters.
No, he's got a squad.
Then you go right up there. How many brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I'm one of 13. I'm the 12th of 13. I have 8 brothers and 4 sisters.
Wow.
In the birth order, so your oldest would be sort of the studious person, the person that lays down the law. The person in the middle is someone that's the mediator, and then the youngest would be the comedian or the person that smooths things over. So in my family, we had multiple groups of those. being the 12th, I was always the mediator. Sometimes I could be the comedian. Sometimes I could be the adult, especially as we got older and some of my older siblings, unfortunately, were suffered with drugs and alcohol issues like we all have. So you end up almost being a parent to those older brothers and sisters also. But for the most part, I think being part of a dysfunctional 13-member family, I think positions me well to be part of a 13-member dysfunctional city council body. But a good mediator, a good person that's able to get in the middle of things, roll my sleeves up and work. To answer the questions over here, was I would support that legislation on DCF. I believe that we're in a funny spot with the police now with it. I think they're getting mixed messages. They should absolutely get out of their vehicles and protect those children. Like if you look down at Mass and Cass, they think that parking police vehicles all around and putting the lights on. That's not policing. They've got to get out, they've got to be active, and that's engaging in people. It's a fine line, but kids need to be protected. So thank you for that question, and Chip, thanks for the question about I love talking about my family.
And I'll answer very quickly to Chip's questions. So my parents have 4 children. I am the third of the third, so I'm the second youngest. The youngest boy, so I have my oldest brother, which I said he passed away in 2016. And then I have another brother who's 3 years older than me, and it's me, and then I have a younger sister. I think. And my roles have just changed. I think ever since Lucifer, my brother, my oldest brother was my mentor, someone who I looked up to, someone who went to college for the first time. You look up to that. And when we lost it in 2016, I think the roles just had to change. We wanted to be there for our family and for my parents, who are still to this day going through, there's so much. And I think it's united us in a different way to be able to stick together. I don't know how many people have grown up, in immigrant households. It's very strict. The only responsibilities that I ever had growing up was, being able to keep my room clean, being able to have good grades, and that's what my father and my mother emphasized. But yeah, I think that's up to me to be a collaborator on the Boston City Council. I have worked with every single elected official on the body. I've worked with the administration. I want to be an effective city councilor. I want to push the city forward. And that takes collaboration. You can't do it alone.
All right, we got a question here. We're gonna move it on. Let's go. And each one, like 3 or 4 people, if you can answer. I don't know if we can get everybody. Take 2 minutes if you got an answer.
Both y'all answer the question together.
All right. How y'all doing? My name is Danger. Salute to the military. I was also a Desert Storm. I'm currently a firefighter in Boston. And thank you. So the short version is this. Me being a firefighter, this is actually more something to think about, less than a question. When I'm still a firefighter, we got together and started doing these events because we were seeing how depressed people were, road rage, and it was because, in my opinion, a lack of an outlet where people can laugh and be social and everything. It's harder and harder to be social in the city of Boston because there's not a lot of places where, we call watering holes or we can socialize. Because with lack of socialization, people aren't community anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know each other's kids because we don't talk. People go straight to work and then they go back home in front of the TV. So, like, even like a place like this, it's a beautiful new venue. This is like my second time coming. I don't know how often it's populated, but having places, kind of, if you think of like Cheers, because we're all in that age bracket where we know how Cheers is, you will come and you know your neighbors and you talk. So I can't say how, what business to run, but as far as, what you got, I grew up more in Norfolk around here, so I remember all the bars that used to be around here, like my parents used to socialize, the neighbors knew each other's kids. Is there anything in the works to keep places like this open? I guess, get more liquor licenses, do more things for the community where we can socialize. I'm gonna pass the mic to my partner real quick. Hey guys, I appreciate you guys. Good to see you. How we got reaching out. My thing is this,
There you are. Tell me what everyone.
I'm Derek, I'm the National Franchise Entertainment.
The legend.
And something I noticed in there. Can I hold your hand for a second, ma'am? Yes. I want you to pay attention to how I'm about to do it.
Hands up. Hey,
It's okay. I'm gonna do something that some people don't pay attention to, but I pay attention. She said here, and the reason why I asked her to sit here because
She's like, go away, boy.
they are older and seated on before.
Thank you.
And you notice?
Thank you.
You notice they haven't said nothing.
Yeah.
They pay attention to detail and what you say. So you politicians and guys who want to get out of vote, my question is to you, because you can't fool that land. There's nothing that I haven't seen, nothing that I haven't been through and done.
Right.
And they still raising our children.
That's right.
Now as a promoter, I'm trying to do things that never been done for our age so we can show the people younger that they can do it too.
That's right.
Because why would you go to Providence to party? Why can we be here?
That's right.
If DC can do it, Atlanta can do it, why can't we do it?
That's right.
So my question to you guys, tell us something you guarantee that no politician ever did in Boston. See your hand?
Tell the truth.
See what she just did? She's waiting.
But she's looking at me because I'm her
Yo, listen to me. In your fight, I was in the school system. I was there when you was doing that. Madison Park, O'Brien, I've been there for 15 years. So I applaud you because one thing about you, and no disrespect to you, you can have more experience than anybody. It's what you do with that experience. Because I've seen people with less do more. And that's no disrespect to you. You know what I'm saying? Trust me. So that's my question to you guys. Tell us one thing that politicians said they're going to do and never do that you would do.
Yeah, new policies. New policies.
Tell me that one. I'll wait.
Remember that school building I told you about?
All right, so I'll stop. I think, where's my man? I don't think we necessarily need to double down on alcohol and party in that way. There's other ways to do that. I think that's with business development, that's coffee shops, that's going to the libraries and programming like that. One of the things that I like to say when I talk to young people is, what's the most important word in the English language or Spanish language or whatever language you speak? It's always that greeting. It's hi. So I use that first. Sorry, my phone's ringing. I use that first, and that starts with us all here first. Greeting the people that you come across every morning, the people that you work with, things like that. And to your question here, for me, I've done things that people haven't done. I've built job training programs that I can point to. I think that we should build more programming in the high schools. We should build shops within each high school so kids are able to get out of high school and pathways into jobs. Building those things, using the money that we have now and investing in our schools in a different way. Someone talked about it's all about college, go to college. Doesn't necessarily need to be like that.
Why are we still doing it?
Doing what?
Building. It should be.
No, I'm saying with existing.
Don't tell me what you're gonna do. Tell me what you want done.
What I've done. What I've done is build job training programs. I built them. I continue those. I bring them into the high schools in a real way.
That's true.
Because I will challenge you.
That's
I will challenge you.
I'm up to it.
Go for it. Where's three questions?
All right, y'all, let's get it spicy up in here. Let's go. Okay, so real quick. So first of all, I really do believe, right, having grown up here in the city of Boston, that we have lost the sense of village. Absolutely, we don't talk to each other, you know, and I see it. And I think that that's a problem. And I also just want to acknowledge that Councilor Morrell, he's not here right now, but that District 4 councilor, he worked really hard at making sure that Roxbury, Mattapan, Dorchester, and other parts of the city get access to liquor licenses, because it's been a liquor Boston. Like all of these storefronts are empty. Those are opportunities for us to activate those storefronts and allow people, I'm talking Asia.
Please, guys, we need to be respectful of our candidates. Thank you.
Asia, don't forget to help me pass my little pump cards, because I'm a club promoter too.
All right, 2 minutes, Julia.
Okay. But look, I think that we have an opportunity to really start working with all of these empty storefronts and activating them and allowing people to be able to incubate in those spaces so that we can create culture and create a vibe, right? We don't have to all be a club owner, but we can have a lot of spaces that we can do pop-up shops. I would love to see that. And in terms of one thing that I would like to do that I haven't done already, because I've done a lot in my 5 years that I've been in office, but what I'd love to do is be able to create more programming in our Boston public schools, because we can give young people career pathways that you don't have to wait. You can actually learn and earn while you are in the classroom, which is why our office piloted a program on mental health and wellness so that young people can learn about that as a career option, get paid to do it, and then that they can also help their colleagues who are triggered be able to get the support services they need. So I'd like to see that program replicated across the city of Boston. And then the last thing is barbershops and hair salon owners, y'all. We need to give them a little bit more love because they're carrying a lot of trauma and everyone's walking into these spaces traumatized. And so what I'd love to see is while you're getting your hair done, you're getting your head fixed. I'd like to see more investments in small businesses and pouring into these folks who are serving our community so that they know how to serve people just beyond a product.
Thank you. Will?
The one thing I definitely would do or fight for that no politician has been successful to do is make sure that all our seniors do not pay any more property taxes.
Hello.
That's the very first thing that I would do. Our seniors, get over this. Our seniors work their whole life. And when they come to the end of their rope, instead of the city helping them, we end up doing things like taking their property because they're on a fixed income. We end up raising property taxes on them. We end up not caring for them the way we should. You understand what I'm saying? And that's a crime. That's the number one thing that I would do, is stop that. The second thing I would do is I would lead, and I said it before, I would lead the housing revolution in Boston. That's the second thing that I would do, because Boston is way too expensive. But here's the thing, get a load of this. Boston is rich. And the funny thing about it is that ever since 1964, the Fair Housing Act, Boston has never cashed in or made good on that promissory note to its residents. So I would definitely make sure our city makes good on that by building what I call workforce housing. But anyone that lives in Boston, works in Boston, you will have housing where you will not pay more than 20 or 30% of your income for it. And the reason why is because from a study we did, we knew that you're not supposed to. Right now, people are currently paying between 65 and 75% of their income just to live. That's outrageous. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what I would fix in the city of Boston. And I would make sure that the city has real skin in the game. We're not fighting residents, developers, each other. Nope. The city has to have skin in the game. That's what I would do. Thank you.
I'll bring my question because it's a great piggyback on that. I work for the city of Massachusetts and I'm homeless. I'm homeless, like living in my car, but I don't own a home in Boston. I can't afford to buy a house in Boston, and I'm a state worker going in to do that. But what do? We don't, as African Americans, we don't wait on the government to come help us and save us. Like the Black Panther Party, we started a project where Brother on Street took his 3-family home, and we're doing real workforce housing. I have 14 men living in this house going in. We pay 30% of our rent. We get no government subsidies to go in because we know that we can't rely on the government because at any time they will take it away from us to go in. Now my thing is reparations for African Americans. Reparations for African Americans in Boston. Boston is an original black city. You guys don't know Beacon Hill was ours. We were the workforce of Boston. The Norman was African American. Black men earned the right to vote in Massachusetts in 1780, guys. Black men have been homeowners and voting in Massachusetts since 1780. We have always led here as black men in Boston, Massachusetts. Yet, we spend $10 million housing illegal immigrants. We have to talk about it to go in. The fight for illegal immigrants is not bigger than the fight for original African Americans from Boston. I need you guys to understand that to go in. What do you want to do for African Americans who have been here, who have had our land stolen when they moved the train from Washington Street and they called it urban renewal? It was a scam. They tore up Vernon Street. They tore up Hammond Street to go down here. The black homeowners look like these ladies. They own brownstones on Massachusetts Avenue that were taken from them. There was no wealth generation that was passed on from these women who own homes, from their grandfathers who worked in these factories here in Massachusetts. What are you going to do to repair your relationship with African Americans in Boston?
We're waiting.
All right, so I'll go first. So I'm really excited, Reggie, because you're here right now. And so thank you for that.
We're waiting.
And here's what I'm just going to say this real quick, right? I understand profoundly how disregarded and disrespected black folks have been here in the city of Boston. And in fact, Boston is one of the most racist cities in the country, right? And so we have to acknowledge that truth, right? On top of that, right, we also need to recognize that our office worked alongside a number of folks, some of them who are here right now, to establish a reparations task force so that we can have those full conversations. But you know what's happening? The administration in the city is not fully funding that,
Yeah.
Because right now the administration is not giving them the resources and the support to be able to have a real conversation about reparations, right? So on the Boston City Council, I'm one of 13, right? And it takes a lot of political will, right, to deliver. So I can stomp my feet and I can fight for reparations and I can do all of these things, but unless we got everybody, including the administration, all in, we're gonna have to keep waiting. And what we need is to organize out in these streets. That's what's really gonna start making people pay attention, right? Because right now they can continue to disregard me. They can continue to disregard any other folks who have supported the whole idea of reparations. But we need to hit these streets and we need to sound the alarm. Because right now in the city of Boston, a black household is the wealth gap. It's $5, right? And compared to a white family, it's $240. We got the city of Boston where they did redlining. We went to schools that were segregated and under-resourced, which is what produced the poverty that we're living in right now. And until we start having those real conversations and taking ownership for those conversations, all we're doing is kicking the can down the street.
Thank you, Julie.
I may be light-skinned, right? I think my black roots, I'm an Afro-Latina, right? And I'm gonna tell you this, when they abducted us, the only difference was the port they dropped us off at. And what we need to start doing is organizing collectively, because we need to understand who the real target is. Because it's not me, and it's not you. You see what I'm saying? And when we keep doing this, we're fighting for little crumbs, while down here you can the whole damn pop.
Thank you, man. We've been in the fight. Anybody else want to answer that question? Yep. Go ahead.
I'm happy to.
1 minute.
Yeah.
So very quickly, I think this is a very important question. I think it's something that we need to have more urgency on. I think Councilor Mejia has mentioned, I think we need to invest more in the task force that we've been able to create and give them the power to actually be able to have these conversations. I'm a Dominican American, I'm a black man, I claim my black roots. I know some of the things that we're talking about, right? And I'm looking forward to being able to sit down with you, Councilor Mejia just mentioned also the $250,000 versus the $5. I think that's home ownership. That's home ownership. That's what it is. So we need to create more housing opportunities for our Black residents. My first order of business on the Boston City Council was mixed income social housing. From that hearing order, it's led to a $110 million fund created by the administration to produce more housing, and with the help of Councilor Mejia and Councilor Will, they were able to put in earmarks there to see home ownership opportunities specifically for our Black and brown residents here in the city of Boston. So this is an area where there needs to be more urgency. There's not enough of this conversation on the Boston City Council as of right now, and I think we need to.
I know there has been many conversations in the community about, from the commission, but also establishing an office. Establishing an office. Because once we establish an office, we can talk about a full budget that gets put into a lot of these resources and run this conversation that we're having. So if we really want to talk about holding people accountable, holding anyone accountable, we need to first have a conversation about establishing an office, putting a full budget, not 2 cents, not $5, talking about millions of dollars into this office to be able to address a lot of those concerns that we're talking about.
Thank you.
I think what everybody said here, I agree with wholeheartedly. Reparations, creating an office, making sure that we're looking at job opportunities and potential development when it comes to generational wealth. That's the biggest underlying thing, is that generational wealth. Unfortunately, we as Black people, African American, we built Boston, right? But that's been taken away from us. The systemic issues that we're seeing now hasn't faced other background races. It's faced African Americans. So what now can we do within our community? And everything that everyone just said here, I agree with it. Something that I think that we can start looking to doing today is ensuring that we have mentors going out to our young Black men and women that are business owners, that are leaders in their own field. And those young Black men and women can be like, yes, I want to be just like that person. Within the lanes that I've worked in, whether it's in the military or within business, I've had mentors, but I rarely have any Black mentors that have the lived experience that I have. And sometimes it mitigates your growth. I think that we need to start looking more into that, those mentorship programs that can help our next generation grow, which could also encompass us being able to get the generational wealth that we need, whether it's through housing as well as business.
All right.
You understand what I'm saying to you? They could have been held several hearings on this. I'm a civil rights lawyer by training. They could have been done this. They could have been said, you know what? We're not going to pass City of Boston's budget until you do this.
Right, hold it up.
They didn't have to do that. That's right. You know something? Look at the Millennium Towers when it was built. It gave $150 million to the community, to using community as linkage. How much of that went to Black and brown, I don't know, families that make $8 per picture, the average white family that makes $250,000 a year?
Zero, bro.
Exactly. You tell me. So while it's nice to get up here and say all this stuff that sounds good and la-di-da, they're already in office. Why haven't they held the administration's feet to the fire? Why haven't they had hearings and admitted we ain't going nowhere, we ain't gonna pass this budget till you answer that question?
Right.
That's leadership. That's leadership, Boston. Do not fall for the open door. Do not be asleep. If you want change, my God, you gotta make it happen. That's what our civil rights leaders fought for.
Thank you, Will. Thank you.
Real quick, wait, Sharon.
No, let you live. We gotta move.
Can everybody hear me? Yeah. My name is Sharon Eden Hinton. I ran for District 5 City Council. I was the only woman on the ballot. I was the only Black American on the ballot.
Amen.
To your point about the office, last week there was a hearing for the establishment of the Office of American Freedom. Black people. So if you want to talk about an office that's been proposed, you need to support it now. Out of the State House.
Yes.
2 questions, really quick, and I want to hear from each one of y'all. Julia, my girl, me and her was on the front line when it was chapter 2. So I know who is here and who's not here. I grew up here. My mother's mother had 17 kids. And all my grandparents are Southerners. Mississippi, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina. Don't talk to me about what's going on up here. I grew up in here. Been educated 45 years, so I got an educational question. 2 of them, for each one of y'all. I just need yes or no. Do you support an elected school committee? Yes or no?
Oh, okay.
No.
I said yes.
Yep, no.
No.
Hybrid.
Hybrid.
Yes.
I passed the home rule petition, you know, I support it all the way.
Hybrid.
Okay, before I say the next question, we went to, it was a coalition of 10 of us, went to Mayor Wu, the first year of her tenure, and we asked her the same thing. And she said hybrid. That's what she said then. She's saying no now. And what we said to her is show us a successful hybrid school committee the size of Boston. There is none. And then when we worked we talked to her about coalitioning with her to create it, to Boston to be the first hybrid successful. And now she's saying no. I'm just saying, the second one, right now, and it's supposed to be voted on November 5th, the question of changing the formula for the exam schools. Are you in support of changing the formula for the exam schools? Yes or no?
Henry?
Yes.
Right. I don't have enough information. I would say no, I don't think so.
Yes.
I'm in support.
Changing the formula?
Yeah. And by changing the formula.
Changing, all that work that was done 5 years ago, I am not in support of undoing anything that's going to give more black and brown children an opportunity to get into those exam schools. So no, I am not in support of changing the work that the NAACP and other educators like you, Sharon, fought for. No, I am not
Can
in
you
support.
explain what that is? Because people here don't know.
So,
what you want to do.
I think we all need to
You
know
know what?
information.
We have a head of an education committee that's currently in the city council. We got a sister that's been in fire. You ask them, I'm done.
Well, I said no, just for the record.
But exam schools, as you all know, exam schools are going. I'm an exam school kid. Kurt, the owners are exam school kids. We went to school together. Kurt, Clay, and the people who own this, we all got into Boston Line Academy to be able to go in and go in. But when you get into Line Academy, we were not supported to go in. I ended up leaving and going to ACC.
The city of Boston should be at the level of an exam school. I graduated from Boston Public Schools, but I went to Beaver Country Day School. My father was one of the architects of Operation Exodus, which became METCO. He said then, when he was working with Ruth Batson and Ellen Jackson, this is only supposed to be a temporary measure while we build our own schools, because this system will never teach us what we need to dismantle and correctly and effectively educate our kids. So no, no. You cannot have a superintendent and a mayor decide after it went to courts and legal and how many, 28 different meetings, for them to come up and say, oh, we're gonna tweak it here, we're gonna tweak it there. They've tweaked it 5 different times since the pandemic. And we have, what, less than 20% of our kids graduating with an elected school committee. I am for a fully elected school committee, period. If you can trust us, because 120,000 people voted for that at the last election, more people than voted for the mayor. So if you can trust people to vote for you guys and vote for the mayor, you should trust them to vote for an elected school committee. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next question. Who's that?
Right here, just do 3 at a time. 1, 2, 3.
Hello, my name is Miss Grace and I'm a black community defender, just like the Franklin Park defender. And I defend the reinvestment of White Stadium for the black community. We've been waiting 40 years for the redevelopment of White Stadium and along historic Blue Avenue where black people live. Newcomers, you don't know about that, but we've been waiting for that. That is for our youth. That's so our youth can go play professional soccer. Girls need to go play, our girls need to go play professional soccer. So, years ago, black people could not go to the honor operations. We could not go to Jamaica Pond or Emerald Necklace or the TD or the Boston Garden. Those places we were racially attacked. The only place we could go is White Stadium. And yes, we did have concerts. I seen Richard Pryor there. We walked there. We didn't have no transportation plans. We didn't have this. For 40 years, the city of Boston has a historical disinvestment in the black community and government neglect. Google the Boston Blue Hill Ave transportation plan documented the historical disinvestment in the black community. They owe us this $100 million. in White Stadium and an investment into our black youth. Our black youth play high school sports and go out to the suburbs, and the coaches report that they're just awed that these schools got the finest facilities ever. Our youth deserve that. I'm trying to say that we're being hoodwinked here. The seat of power is these organizations. The seat of power is these neighborhood organizations that exist in our neighborhoods that y'all go and take orders from. You do not have the power. These organizations have the power, and that's who these organizations we need to speak to. Because these organizations are the ones who keep white privilege in this community, in the city of Boston. We need to be talking to these people and these neighborhood associations that's reporting on our youth getting together on corners, their music's too loud, washing their cars on Talbot Ave, or they're out there washing their cars. They don't have a business. They don't have a business plan. No, really, stop hoodwinking. Y'all do not have the seat of power.
Thank you. Thank you.
You answer to these groups.
Yes, thank you.
Let's be honest.
We got it.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. And I am the black community defender.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Fender. Thank you.
My people came to Faneuil Hall, Slave Marketplace.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fender. Thank you. Give it up.
Four rapid questions. Go.
Questions, guys. Stay away from the story. Straight questions.
Hi, good night, everyone. My name is Aiden Ogaro, and full disclosure, I am Will's family member. I'm his uncle-in-law. My question is for Councilwoman Mejia, to be followed by a response from Will, and then time allows, anyone else. In recent days, we saw the protests for the No Kings in the Boston Common, right? We also have seen many events occurring across the state involving ICE and its actions towards immigrants within the city and other cities across the state. Specifically, Councilwoman Mejia, can you tell me what the city is doing to protect the immigrant community? And please answer in relation to the Trust Act.
What is the black community doing to protect our black men who are locked up in solitary confinement? What are they doing about them? What are they doing about it? We just had 3 black people shot. What are they doing about our youth being shot and murdered? We're the only ones who are dying.
We get that. People are upset. Black men are still getting killed. We have to understand that. And we hear you guys. But right now is our time for our counselors, these people who want to fight for us. We have to be respectful and allow them a chance.
I'm going to make sure the last 3 people have their question answered. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, Vinny and Malik, can you just say your question and then we'll ask the last thing you got?
I just
is back in 2017, then Councilor Mayor Wu offered an ordinance to the full body that called for a threshold of Boston residents to essentially submit a petition that would automatically trigger a public hearing. And I think the energy that you see in this room, I also attended the Mass and Cass hearing, Councilor Santana, I attended your hearing around bringing HBCU to Boston, and the list goes on. And what I hear related to White Stadium and others is a deep frustration amongst residents across the board that their voices aren't necessarily being heard. And after hearing you today, all of you, right, especially our incumbents, I know how important it is community voices are. And so I'm just curious as a yes/no before I ask my second question, down the line is, does this body in front of us support the fact that 250 residents, or perhaps even it's more, maybe it's 500, there's a threshold that should be met that would automatically trigger a public hearing for the issues that are important to all the folks.
Yes.
So, Councilor Santana.
Whoa, right to your heart.
I think as a council or a district city council, it's incumbent on us to have one person should be able to do it. But that's responsiveness of government. That's what I
appreciate.
So I voted against that.
My sister?
Yes.
My brother? My sister?
All day.
My good brother? Yes. Great. Now my second question is actually about this young man over here. And this is Vinny, as you folks met. What happened? To be working at Lyft, working at Coinbase, I also founded my own firm that connected 1.8 million young people to jobs in tech and finance to close the racial wealth gap that you folks are talking about. But I didn't do it here. And I had to leave Boston to find opportunity. And I couldn't find it in my own neighborhood. I grew up in Dorchester. My dad's a retired Boston police detective out of C11 who worked most of his life to try to think about what you did well, but also to think about what healthy public safety and community policing looks like. So my question is not really on my behalf. It's really for Vinny, who's 23 right now, who has a lot of dreams, but wants to stay in Boston. Doesn't have to go bring his talents elsewhere like I had to, right, to discover opportunity. So while early interventions in our young people's lives, whether it's housing, whether it's warm bellies, whether it's making sure our parents are important, what I want to know is what would you tell my good brother Vinny here, who really wants to not only stay here, right, as a student, as an athlete, as an advocate of athletes, but wants to grow, like you said, council member, his family here, right, and find opportunity here. I believe that Boston has a role to play in making sure that not only our youngest people find opportunity in warm bellies, but also folks between my age at 33 and this brother's age at 23. So what is the role of Boston City Council in making sure that we don't just bring an HBCU to the city, but we actually make sure that when folks step over that room and step into graduation, that they actually have opportunities waiting for them here in this zip code, in the same zip code where the median net worth of a black family is $8, or step 3 streets over where the median household income is $34,000. How do folks stay here? And that question, though I've asked it, is really to be addressed to my good brother here, who also has a question after.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah.
Describe it.
Yeah, let's do your question. And remember this guy, you don't want to take notes, we're going to do rapid fire and we'll get started.
I actually didn't know his question was going to be about me, so this works even better. You guys probably heard I said I'm from Lawrence, currently in Boston.
How old are you?
I'm 23, so I think it's super ironic that I actually had to leave the beautiful place that I call home to come and continue searching to become my version and my standard of excellence that I hold myself to. So because of the fact that I see and understand that Boston is a leader in the state, and that's where I want to go with this question, and I want to turn it around and bring it back to our school committee question as well, because the city of Lawrence is also under state receivership. They're also in a situation where we have a majority appointed board in which the current administration is the deciding factor. So I want to just get one sentence maybe on what you guys think the stance of Boston role in democracy is when it comes to Massachusetts, because we know that democracy isn't about fairness, it's about numbers. So me being from Lawrence, I'd like to try to find ways to organize and try to really unite our communities, black and brown, to understand the struggles that we all have, because Lawrence, Boston, Springfield, Worcester, Fall River, it's the same mud and we're all trying to get out of it.
All right now.
Any more questions?
What's the question? Yeah, what's the last one right here?
The question was, since Boston is a role model in the state of Massachusetts, what do you guys see its role being when it comes to serving as a democracy?
Last question.
Hi guys, the question that I had for you guys was kind of touched on a little bit, but I think it wasn't touched on enough. So I can kind of push it back out there to give you guys all the opportunity to maybe go over it. So as a kid who was Section 8 approved, right, and grew up on EBT, and now currently I'm a landlord in the city of Boston, right? I understand both sides of this track, right? So I know that there's constantly a question about affordable housing. I know that clearly Boston is very expensive, one of the most expensive cities in the country, if not the expensive. I believe it fluctuates a few top 3. And then also, right, I understand that city taxes, right, property taxes keep going up, right? So I understand both sides of this coin, right? Landlords have to charge accordingly to what they have to pay out between their bank and the city taxes. And then obviously we want to be able to keep our residents who are lifelong residents here. So I know you started to touch on that, Will, so I'll probably start here. All right, Mr. Santana.
So we're gonna ask you guys to answer all these questions and as you're closing to go in. So this is gonna complete our questions. So we want each one, and we address as many of these as you go in your closing. Thank you guys for being here.
I'll start with Santana.
So there was a lot of questions there. I wasn't taking notes, so I'll try to answer. I think, again, when I talk about making youth my number one priority, I'm talking about our young people, our young professionals here, and often right now, I want to be able to buy a home. I don't know if that's going to be possible. As a city councilor right now, if I can't do that, most of our audience can't do that. So again, we need to build more housing. Over 10% of our students at BPS now are homeless, right? And that's an area where I'm very focused on making sure that people have access to homes. We can't start any type of development or any type of investment without people having a roof over their head. So far too many people like me, and I've had a chance to get to know you a little bit earlier this summer, right? Are leaving the city of Boston to other cities, other states, because of how expensive it is here. But also I think we need to make sure that someone said it earlier, right? We're a rich city with many jobs and many careers. Our Boston public school kids aren't getting access to those jobs. We're not training them in order. We're training them for jobs and not careers, and that's an area. To your point, and how you have to leave the city and have to come back to those opportunities. I also did the same. For high school, I didn't go to high school here. I went to a high school in Maine, right? And I wanted to go to a high school here, but I didn't get into one of the exam schools. And because of that, I wanted higher education. I had to leave and come back, right? And I think far too many people have to do that for whether it's education, whether it's for a job, whether it's, someone said earlier, going to Providence to find nightlife. I think we need to really be intentional about taking care of our young people, and that doesn't mean just our teenagers or our young people, but young professionals who want to be able to stay here and grow here in the city of Boston.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so one opportunity, I think the job of the city council is to show up first and be responsive to the people that they represent. So those discussions need to happen. If people are telling you they're going to do something, they don't show up the second time, then they're not going to do anything.
All right.
That's showing up to the job. Number 2, over here, you talked about what does the city of Boston need to do. We're the leaders. We should stop going to other places and see what they do. We need to all get together in the room, all of us, and start having discussions again. What happened on the city council when I was there, when I left, it was an inability of people to be able to have real discussions. So that needs to happen. Leadership is what needs to happen in the city of Boston. We have a dearth of leadership happening in the city right now. No leaders, I don't think. And you were continue to go up. So I'm not sure if I answered that for you. It was a tax question. What will you, okay?
No,
Give it to me one more time.
So it was basically based in what could be a solution to the expensive housing without necessarily everybody, like the burden necessarily getting on the landlord, or the burden necessarily getting on the
So we had a program on the Mayor Walsh, which was the NHI program, Neighborhood Housing Initiative. We thoughtfully used city assets, our empty lots, and city money. Our money came in, we injected $500 million into what is called the affordable housing black hole. How many units have been built? I don't know. So we need to pair those assets with that money and in a thoughtful way with local development teams, you know, small builders that are from the communities, that know the communities, and build larger buildings. So Julia has an NHI home, right? That was, we built 2 and 3 family homes and gave them to, gave them to people in lotteries for under market prices. We can do the same thing. You start with city workers first, pairing that on with the banks. Different banks want to come in, hopefully, and help us through this problem. You need leadership and you need people to get in there and have those discussions. If we're not having discussions about any of these things, if it's all smoke and mirrors, it's never gonna happen. All right,
First of all, what about our finish?
Hold on, please don't start interrupting. Please,
Go.
Valdez, please.
What about the widows?
Okay,
What about the civil services?
Please stop interrupting.
Can we get it under control? That's the problem in our community. Our anger and our distrust. Listen to the people. Let them get what they have to get off their chest, and you make a determination. Let them speak. I hear you. I know your pain, but let them speak.
Let's be honest.
Okay, really quick is, first of all, thank you for being here in Boston, and thank you for wanting to come to our city to be able to be here. And to your question, you should have never left the city to be able to start your own company. You should be looking at investing and helping our people really get their companies off the ground. Because really focusing on life sciences and all those pillars is essential to growing our community and being able to expand, especially the youth. And I would say to you, get involved in anything that you can. You have an amazing mentor next to you, or I'm not sure if you're his mentor, but if you are. And if there's anything that I can say that helps me find myself and my voice, is to find someone who I looked up to, who I want to be just like them, and surrounding myself with a village like this right here, who wanted to see me do better as a woman and woman of color in our city. So you're in great hands already by being here and being with Chip and doing all this great work. So thank you for all that you do. And then for the last question to address, I know we didn't talk at all about nightlife. I was really excited to talk about nightlife, but we can talk about that another time. To the questions in regards to housing and taxes, I recently purchased my home about 3.5 years ago, and was lucky enough to do it during the pandemic, when we saw interest rates that we haven't seen in years. And one of the things that helped me was a lot of the programs through Urban Edge, a lot of programs through the city. And it's to really focus how we investing more funding to allow more people to buy their homes, to have more people who look like us stay and live in our city, but also supporting landlords like yourself and landlords like a lot of people who are sitting here who are choosing to invest in our city and be able to give an opportunity for our families to stay here.
We want our families. Thank you, Liz. Thank you.
So real quick, just gonna answer this point. Keep it going. Keep that motivation going. Amaze yourself. There's a couple things I want to go ahead and bring up. We need to get creative right now, especially as I think your question was on property tax, landlords, things of that nature. People are getting pushed out, right? we need to be very creative when it comes to generating revenue in the city of Boston, right? Especially as we take the funding cuts and things like that happen at the federal level. And there's a couple ways that we can look at this. Low-hanging fruit, you hear me always talk about it, but it's the paying little taxes. And we have a lot of these, colleges, higher institutions where they don't have to pay tax, but we do have a program called Pilot, and they're supposed to contribute. And they have not been contributing. They have not. However, they continue to purchase and build up more land, right? Northeastern, Harvard, Suffolk, what have you. What does that do to us? What does that do to the residents of Boston? We lose out on those spaces. We lose stock. So when these students come in, they go ahead and take over. A couple things we need to look at. How do we incentivize students to stay on campus so we can be able to take those stock? So we can be able to lower the prices. I think another thing to look at as well, there is a thing called the Corporate Fair Share Act. Now, this is at the state level, but I would want to work with my colleagues at the state level to ensure that this gets passed. And essentially what this does, when you have a lot of these companies who are shielding their taxes elsewhere, while at the state level, we go ahead and we increase their taxes, and that money is coming back into our pocket. Right? So being able to look at that kind of stuff is what we need to go ahead and do. One last thing, I, as a small business owner, a black man small business owner, I want to make sure that we're investing in our black neighborhoods. I want to make sure that we're finding areas in our black neighborhoods where we can have business owners go ahead and succeed that look just like us. And when we have people like you looking for job opportunities or wanting to start their own business, they have avenues to do so. When I worked for Veteran Services, we came up with somewhat of a tax incentive. If you have more than 20 employees, then you hire a veteran, you'll get a tax incentive. We should be looking at mechanisms like that to go ahead and be able to support our young black youth go ahead and find jobs through that as well.
Okay, Modi, they're not Modi. Shit, they did not Modi. We're gonna put you back up in 5 minutes, so be ready to go. I have YouTube going, and we also have 2 people that are running for office. I just want you to just say hello, what you're running for real quick before you guys go.
Winston K, candidate for Boston City Council District 5. This is a very important conversation, especially right now in the time of our city. Look, I'm trying to represent a district where we have one of the highest infant mortality in Nigeria. I'm trying to represent a district where, in my opinion, we have the shortest life expectancy. This conversation is important. This election matters because it's not only about policy, it's about dignity. It's about accountability. It's about making sure out of the $4.6 billion budget for the city of Boston, we invest in people of color. Thank you. And I hope to end your vote come Tuesday, November 4th. Thank you.
People of color, black people.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Andrea James. I'm a lifelong resident of Roxbury, Massachusetts. My family has been here for 7 generations. We have lived in the same house for 5 of those generations on Crawford Street off of Humboldt Avenue. We are in a state of crisis, and we have got to address it. I am running for governor as an independent candidate of Massachusetts. I want to give deference to the very important conversation that's being had right now for the city council race, but I'm going to tell you something. We are standing right now in the corridor, the most incarcerated corridor in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We have 7% of the African American population in this state. We make up 50% of the prison population. What these women right here are talking about is very real. It's absolutely real. And we are going into even a more dire crisis as a result of the current administration. But we cannot wait for somebody else to save us. We are one of the wealthiest states in the country. So we must never, ever believe the narrative that we can't do for self and turn this around. We call it lifting from the bottom and closing the gaps. I want to thank all of you. Julia, you know you my girl. We have been down there. We have talked about it. We have defended our children. We shall not let the police just take our children. Hurt people, hurt people. Heal people, heal. We've got a lot of work to do, people. Let's get it.
All right, Governor! Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Also, we have a new commissioner right here of the United Nations. All right, just say hello. You know what to say. New commissioner right here, United Nations. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sorrel and Lime. I'm the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Squad
founding member of Caribbean American Political Action Committee. And other hats, but my new title is now Commissioner Director under the UN CARICOM for Haiti. And so, thank you. I'm well acquainted with a couple of our councilors here. Like the work that they're doing, but much more work to be done. I believe I was just being introduced as the new commissioner for the UN, but however, I just want to make a statement. I would love to see whoever is on board be a little bit more active where the Caribbean American community is concerned. I would like to see some oversight. I would like to see some accountability. I would like to see people reaching out, councilors reaching out, and not the community trying to reach in and reach no one. For too long, the Caribbean community, the Caribbean American community, have made sure people got their seats. And now they are being neglected. Their spaces are being neglected. Their grant monies are being cut short. Please reach out for the communities, for the village or villages that put you in place. And cynically, I would be approaching you guys for much help to feed the people of Haiti. I know the money is there, I'm coming forward.
That's right.
Thank you. Can I get a real quick 30 seconds?
Take my time. Don't do that. Everybody else do that.
Okay, Chip, you're taking your time.
Chip, hold up. Let me answer some questions here. So first of all, Mitch, right? Tari. You need to run for office. Because for real, I need more people that I can work with inside that city council so that I can get the work done. And I think the way you just presented and the way you advocated on behalf of someone else is what this work is all about. Okay, so I just want to acknowledge that. And then I also want to apologize. Because I know it is not easy to show up in spaces and be disregarded, right? I know how hard it is to be ignored. And I want you to know that for me, I see you, I feel you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really do. I am not here trying to just get your vote for the sake of getting your vote. I love my people. Okay? And that energy, I will open up the doors of City Hall. That's what I've done in the last 5 years that I've been there. I have brought people in that never wanted to people didn't even want to host. And then in regards to that young man, I also had to leave the city of Boston because Boston wasn't going to give me any opportunity. I had to go to New York, right, to get a real good job because Boston wasn't here for me. So I understand what it looks like, and that's why I created a line item in the budget for 19 to 24-year-olds. A line item dedicated for young people who already finished school so that we can prepare them to stay here in the city of Boston. It's not about what I'm going to do, it's what I have done to keep our kids here, okay? And keeps them out of jail. I established a literacy task force so that we can get a handle on literacy rates in the city of Boston because we know that school to prison pipeline is real. I established the Black Men and Boys Commission that gave way to the Black Male Advancement Office with a budget of $1.8 million. So you want to talk about reparations? That's the next thing on the list, Will. Because unlike other people, I do the work. And then lastly, to answer the question about the immigrants, yeah, I got you, my man, don't worry, because I know that's your board, I got you. So the Boston Trust Act, right, what I'm doing, right, alongside my colleagues on the Boston Council is to strengthen it, right? Because what is happening right now is that we are all under attack, and immigrants right now were the first line of defense. And that's training ground. Because when they come for you, they're coming for everybody. So what we need to do is stop. And what I've been doing is working on the Boston City Council.
Mejia, the building.
And then still 5 questions, okay? Let me finish. I got one more. Because y'all know me. I work really hard to get into this space. And I'm going to make sure that I utilize my mic. Okay? So to answer the last question, right? those property taxes, I think what we need to start thinking about this work, because we keep thinking that the city government is going to fix everything. We've created a lot of mess. That triple bond that we've been talking about, the triple rating, we need to tap into that, right? And then White Stadium, yes, we deserve the best thing, but we should not be spending $120 million when we can get it fixed for $60 million, and then that money can go towards housing.
No, they owe us 40 years.
Yes, they do.
The city of
Right, I know, but we got $60 million that we could do, and we could just help support that. That's right. And then lastly, I love that.
Big love, big love.
Is that you do deserve us to work for every single vote. You deserve representation, and you deserve people who are going to show up on that Boston City Council and tell it like it is, and fight like hell for the money to pour back into our communities where it belongs, and I'm your chick for that. So thank you.